Good evening, TheoTrade. This is Corey Rosenblumen. You're watching the Theo Nightly video for the 16th of July here in 2020. And you're seeing Netflix. Well, right now, you're seeing the straddle, the weekly expected move, or I guess it's just the earnings expected move. We talked about this at the end of the close today, but we're going to talk about earnings. And Netflix missed. So we'll come into this in a moment, but for those of you trading after hours or had butterflies or any other type of option position ahead of the earnings, you're going to see the market down here. But before we start looking at that, let's talk about the earnings expected move logic. So if you ever are putting on a position, especially a swing trade or in-out spread, butterfly, vertical, condor, anything like that, and you're new, we can get excited. I get excited too putting on trades mostly. But always make sure to look at the near-term expiration when you're looking at the option grid. And as Don teaches, this is going to jump out at us. And its earnings are taking place within this expiration cycle, which happens to be Friday, tomorrow, the 17th of July. And if you're putting on positions in here a month or 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks out, and just take a look and see if you see something jumping off the chart, which would be something like this. Implied volatility at the near-term expirations is just huge. For example, in Netflix, it's 153%. which translates to a price movement of about $44.24. And that's a concept there. We can look at the near-term straddles and price out information there. Near-term straddles, which we'll see in a moment. That's just buying the option, that's buying the call and the put at the same time. Let's actually go back and take a look at the near term and see that's already moved so quickly for Netflix shares. So these prices have already moved. So without further ado, let's talk about the chart, talk about what's happening, where the stock's price is now. So our earnings expected move indicator from Don does take the straddle price, and it did, I know, right before the earnings took place, push that up to about the 568 level or the 485 level. So I know we're looking at hindsight here. You're actually getting more information than I have, which I'm doing the video right as the market closes, a little bit after it. So you'll have information that I don't have. But the straddle pricing puts the Netflix earnings expected move to roughly 485. And the next month straddle, that takes it to 469. So keep that in mind, roughly 485. It won't come into play right now, but the upper edge is 568. Now, we'll take a look at, pardon me, with some chart modifications here, but this is how we'll take a look if you're ever curious about how a stock reports after hours or how to look at a stock after hours, especially if your time frame already has or does not have overnight sessions on if you're new to thinkorswim. So we'll take a look at Netflix and we'll do the sprocket. We'll put this on equities. We'll actually show the volume graph. We want to show extended hours. So that's how we'll put on. You can make it highlighted, which is just a little visual. We'll take that off there. So what you see with the volume, I'm on the West Coast, so I see the Pacific time, and this is your regular trading hours. We might call that RTH. And this is after hours, right? Regular trading hours took it about the 5:30, 5:10. It's a wide range for today's session. Keep in mind that 480 level, 480, 485. That's roughly where the stock is trading at the moment, which is the earnings type of expected move calculator. It's also about, right, there's lots of ways to do this, but it's also about $45 on the expected move, or at least in terms of the implied volatility. So we can take a look through that and see the option chain. Once again, it's roughly $45, $44. And that's taking the current price, subtracting or adding to it. So that key point is roughly the 480, 485 level. Why did this happen? Oh, you can always jump in and see 1 minute chart or how the stock is trading in the after hours market and the volume and shares transacting. So a couple of other ways to look at this. I'm using Netflix, but if your own charting on your own time, you can look at any number of stocks using this type of logic. Now this is our live news, and we get that here on a watch list or a gadget at the lower edge of the thinkorswim platform. So we take a look at these right here, and we can see the other ways to see watch list or trade flash or live news. So this is where we're watching any number of news articles. And I just picked one at random at Newswire, but this is the main point. Netflix reported second quarter earnings of $159 per share, which missed the analyst consensus of the estimate of $181. A stock like Netflix being so popular, being so in the groove or in the know, or at least a high buzzing stock, right? We either have a Netflix account, or we're aware of Netflix, or maybe we trade Netflix quite actively. So it's a stock that a lot of traders are aware of. And it also has very high expectations. And it missed. And that's going to rebalance, re-rotate, and change a lot of positions on the broader picture and in individual trading accounts. So if something is priced to perfection, it needs to deliver, especially when it comes to earnings. And it didn't. And therefore, the stock is down at the lower bound of that earnings-based expected move volatility play. Now, this is what confuses people. It reported sales of $6.327 billion, which beat the estimate. So the sales beat the estimate, but not the earnings per share. And I think this is where you can read the remainder of the press releases, but I think this is where the stock, at least, starts to fall. So here's with earnings, it's not just what happened in the past, it's what is the expectation for the future. And they're expecting, right, it's pandemic, shutdown, stay-at-home orders, all those sort of things. People stay home and watch Netflix. And they did have a lot of subscriber growth in the first couple of quarters, but they're directly telling us that that's not going to continue, or they don't expect it to continue, which is this global streaming paid net ads. An ad would be new subscribers. They're expecting, or they reported 2.5 million. The estimate called for 5.2 net ads as in subscribers. So now we can read through the press release and how they try to explain it and discuss additional information as you're interested. Let's go back up to our typical watch lists and look at the Nasdaq after hours. So same sort of logic. And we'll actually, for the comparison, take a look at the futures. We're going to show the extended hours here. We'll show the volume. This time we're going to highlight the extended hours. And now we have Netflix, or the Nasdaq, taking a rapid sell swing into the close and the Netflix news ahead of that. So remember, the Nasdaq, you see this as the regular trading hours. 13 is 1 o'clock, and that's roughly when the Netflix news hit, right as the market closed. That will set the tone for tomorrow's session. So keep in mind, Nasdaq is printing about the 10,530 level, 10,530. And on the broader perspective, the broader picture, notice that that is coming into play right here. So that's the Nasdaq. We'll take a look at the daily chart and then go back to planning. For the Nasdaq, it's going to be pulling back. We'll see that here on the S&P. Double top resistance. It does have some room to the downside. Now, the S&P is and remains above the value area extreme, which is yellow, and the logic and the dominant thesis is for a pullback or retracement movement to the red line, which is the point of control. In the Nasdaq, we continue to see rotation or chop around that red line. In fact, you might even see this as a large triangle consolidation, and that is getting ready for a breakout one way or the other. And if the Nasdaq does start to fall beneath 10.48, let's just say 10.5, roughly where it is now, that does open the Nasdaq for a deeper sell swing. So that's what we'll be watching in the remainder of tonight's session. Any additional futures activity after earnings. Netflix will continue to bounce around, a little bit bullish, a little bit bearish, but that key pivot is roughly the 485 level for Netflix and how that trades into it. So that is, 485. That is beneath the profile. It is similar to the Nasdaq. So watch Netflix in tomorrow's session. I'm hyper focusing on Netflix, but it's not the only stock reporting earnings. So take a look at some of the other ones that reported this morning, which included Abbott Labs, Morgan. Well, look at those actually. Abbott Labs, Morgan Stanley was bullish, Bank of America, initial gap down, then some additional sell swing activity, Bank of America, and Johnson & Johnson. Tomorrow will be BlackRock, and some other companies will report as well. Netflix affects the Nasdaq, and how Nasdaq affects the broader market and our decisions Friday and through the weekend. As always, be careful and safe. This is Corey Rosenblum with tonight's Theo video for July 16th, 2020.